Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at our new EngineLink NMEA 2000 engine monitor and seeing how we set that up to work with some of the new generation of electric engines that are coming on the market. So I've actually got this installed on an electric narrowboat, and it's got a Vetus E-line 10 kilowatt engine, and it's also got quite a lot of Victron equipment for monitoring the electrical system, and we'll be looking at the data from both those systems when we set up the dashboard. So let's show. So as it is at the moment, EngineLink is still on its default settings, which is for a single engine combustion engine. And so if we go to the gauges, we'll see that a lot of the data is not populated. So you have got temperature coming from the engine and RPM, but voltage, for instance, is 48 volt system. So and this is set for a 12 volt. So that's what this out of range indicator shows. We've got no oil pressure because there's no oil pressure in the electric engine, and we've got no fuel, so that's not there as well. So I'll show you how to set all of these gauges up so that you've got the correct settings. So first of all, let's go to the back to the home page and then to settings. And if we come down to the other settings, first major setting we're going to make a change to is we're going to select electric motor, and that will ask me if confirm that I want to make this quite big change. So yes, and what that does is it uses a different gauge template, so that it tries and populates for the sort of most common gauges that are in an electric engine. I've only got the one electric engine, but it's a 48 volt system, so I'm going to set the system voltage to 48 volts. I haven't got any speed or depth systems on board, so I'm going to disable those displays. But that's all we need to do in the settings. Just make sure you set electric motor and then 48 volts, assuming it's a 48 volt system. And then we'll go back to the gauges and see the difference that's made to the dashboard. So now we've got 48 volt voltage display, and that's populated. We've got a state of charge gauge down here. Now that's not been set up yet, or maybe it's looking at the wrong piece of equipment to get that information. So we'll set that up in a sec. And you've got a current meter here, and that is actually showing some current going at the moment, which obviously with the engine in the off at the moment, that should be zero. So that must be looking at the main shunt on the boat, and it's looking at all the electrical consumption. So we'll need to change that so it's just showing the motor current. So that's fairly straightforward to do. You just go to the padlock and go into the edit mode. Now, first of all, I'm going to tidy up the dashboard a bit. I'm going to get rid of the things that we don't have. So we don't have a jack plate, so I'll get rid of that. We don't have trim tabs. Never seen those on a narrowboat. I haven't got a speed sensor, although in theory I could connect that up to a GPS, but which we do have on board, but it's just not connected up at the moment. And I don't have a depth transducer, so I'm going to get rid of that as well. So that's cleared up the dashboard. I'm going to set the current so that it takes that from the engine. And the way that you do that, because there's multiple devices on the network, the Victron equipment that I mentioned earlier, and so there's actually 4 devices that are sending out battery current information, and we have to select the right one. Now, if you didn't know which device was which, you can, I'll quickly show you how to do that. So let's just store the settings that we've made so far. And if we go to back to the settings page, and we have an option to show the network device, so all the NMEA 2000 devices on the network. So we'll click on device list, and now you can see all the different devices. So we've got our Vetus. So what's that? We've got a bow thruster. So that's that device. We've got the virtual battery device on there, which is address 3. So that actually is the one that we want, because that's the current of the motor will be shown by that device. So that's the one that we want. But you can see the other Victron devices here. So there's quite a few physical and virtual devices on the network. But the one we want to set for the current meter is this device 3. So we'll go back go to the gauges, click on the padlock, and we'll set that now to source address 3. And then the other thing we need to do is the state of charge, and that will be coming from the Victron because the Vita system doesn't know the state of charge. So what we'll need to do there is set that to 224. So with those two changes, we now have the correct data going to the correct gauges. And if I change that back to the normal mode, you'll see now we've got 98% state of charge displayed. We've got 0 current in the ammeter, which you'd expect when the engine is off or at 0 RPM. So that is now our perfect electric engine dashboard for this particular engine. I mean, other electric engines like the Balmarine, Torpedo, those also have NMEA 2000 interfaces, and they output slightly different sets of data, so you can just fine tune for the particular engine that you go for. And as more and more new electric engines come on, and particularly now with the latest NMEA 2000 official electric propulsion PGNs, which are about to be released this year, we will be updating EngineLink to support all of those new electric propulsion PGNs. And so as more new electric engines come aboard, we're going to make sure that EngineLink works with all of those. But the ones that we've tested with so far are the Vita Z-Line, the Balmarine, and the Torpedo. So yeah, those are all there. One last thing before I finish the video: if your particular electric engine outputs even more information that you want to display, you can add extra gauges down the bottom here. So for instance, on the Vitas there's not that much more data which we can show, but for instance, if we wanted to show which gear, whether we're going forward or reverse, we can actually have that set up. So we'll set that up now, and then if we click on there, so we should now have neutral, and that will say forward as soon as we go into forward, and reverse as we reverse. So, but for other electric engines, there might be other gauges that you can set up, and you just do that in the edit mode. So I hope you found that useful. If you're one of the pioneers with an electric engine and you need to display the information, then EngineLink is the perfect tool for you. Thanks very much for watching.